Welcome to the episode 24 summary of the Reading Finnegans Wake in 200 Sessions podcast, where we analyze Finnegans Wake by James Joyce 3 pages at a time. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment to support us. All right, today we are tackling what feels like the Mount Everest of literature, just a few pages from James Joyce's Finnegans Wake. Now, this book has a reputation, right? It's famous for being, well, unreadable. It's this dense, dreamlike soup of puns, myths, and history all mashed together. So the big question is, where do you even start?
Well, here's my advice. The best way to approach it is to stop thinking of it as a book you read from start to finish. Let's try something else. Let's think of it like an archaeological site. We're not just reading words on a page, we're excavating. We're digging through all these layers of meaning, brushing away the dirt of the language to find these amazing little fossils of myths and historical events and all these half-forgotten stories.
To help us on our little excavation here, we're going to break down our journey into 4 main parts, kind of like a 4-act play. This will help us follow the story that's buried deep inside these pages. We're going to start with a resurrection. Then we'll move to a super mysterious conflict. Then we'll check out the evidence at a crime scene of sorts, and we'll end it all with a massive thunderclap that just changes everything.
Okay, so the whole thing kicks off with this absolutely incredible line. Joyce is smashing together English and German here. Zeit is German for time. So what he's basically saying is, wait for time's summons, and then rise after you fall. This right here is our central theme. It's this endless cycle of death and rebirth, and it's what powers every single thing we're about to see.
So, Act 1. It begins with our main guy, a figure known as HCE, Humphrey Chimpden Earwicker. And he's not just dead, he is buried deep, deep in the earth. But this is no normal burial. No, he is actively clawing his way out of his own grave. The wordplay Joyce uses here is just mind-blowing. He's buried in Gehenna, which is a mix of the Hebrew Gehenna for hell and the German phrase Gehennen, which means go away. Then he tunnels through what Joyce calls the Underwelt, a beautiful blend of the German word for underworld, Underwelt, and, wealth. And where's he going? He's trying to get back to our world, the upper crust. He is literally tunneling his way from hell back up to high society. Now, here's where our archaeological dig gets really interesting. This phrase, septuply buried 7 times, it seems so bizarrely specific. What on earth could that mean? Well, turns out it's not just some strange image Joyce cooked up. It's a clue. It's a key that unlocks a much, much deeper layer of the story.
And boom, here's the answer. This perfectly shows Joyce's whole method. Cian was a hero from Irish mythology, who was so vital, so connected to the land itself, that the earth refused to accept his death. It literally spat his body back out 6 times. So by comparing Haysi to Cian, Joyce is doing something brilliant. He's not just saying our hero is tough, he is embedding him into the ancient mythic soil of Ireland.
Okay, so for Act 2, our resurrected hero shows up on this mysterious dark plane. But he's not alone. There's a conflict brewing, a battle, where it feels like all of history is happening at the exact same time.
The scene is deliberately murky, right? It's wrapped in this kind of magical darkness that Joyce actually pulls from another Irish legend about St. Patrick. And the identities of the armies facing off? They're just as blurry, just as layered with all these different historical meanings.
And this is where Joyce just completely collapses time and space. So you've got this word, bloomin'. On one hand, it refers to the blue-uniformed Union soldiers from the American Civil War, but it also points to ancient Celtic warriors who painted their faces blue. And their opponents? The palefaces. That's a stand-in for the English palefaces who colonized Ireland, but also the pale-skinned Lets from Latvia fighting against the dark-skinned Moors. It's North versus South, Celt versus Saxon, dark versus fair, all happening in one single moment.
And the references just keep piling up. It's wild. We get hints of the Dreyfus Affair in France. There's a direct quote from an American Civil War marching song. You even have Bellona, the Roman goddess of war, doing a popular 1920s dance called the Black Bottom. So, what's the takeaway here? This isn't just one battle. It's the spirit of all battles, all rolled into one chaotic scene.
Okay, so this huge, abstract conflict needs to be grounded in something real. And that is exactly what we get in Act 3. The focus suddenly snaps from this epic battlefield down to a very specific place, and we hear a single voice, the testimony of a widow and city scavenger named Kate Strong. Kate, the woman who literally cleans up the city's messes, describes a garbage dump in Dublin's Phoenix Park. And this dump, she says, is the site of some mysterious crime, some weird encounter. It's the very same conflict that we just saw playing out on that grand scale.
This is the absolute key to the whole thing. This literal pile of trash becomes a giant metaphor for history. I mean, think about it. What is history, really? But a whole barrel of rubbish. It's just a collection of all the things that society has used up and left behind. This dump is an archive. It's a museum of the past.
And what do you find in an archive like this? You find evidence. You find all these traces of human action preserved in the muck. Fossil footprints, marks left by elbows, even the shape of someone's behind, the breech bowls, pressed into the ground. It is a crime scene, and all the messy evidence of the past is perfectly preserved.
All right, let's move into our final act and see how this all comes to a head. Just as we're sifting through all this rubbish of history, a powerful, almost divine voice suddenly cuts through all the chaos.
The tension just builds and builds. All highest, which was a title for the German Kaiser, is about to speak. And that word, Sprach, it's genius. It combines the German word for spoke, which is Sprach, with the sound of a crack of thunder. A divine word is about to be spoken.
The imagery goes totally epic. The eagles of Jove, the Roman god of the sky, are getting ready for action. So you know this isn't just some voice speaking. This is a moment of cosmic importance. A divine judgment is coming down.
And here's the first part of the decree. It's this powerful statement of fatalism. The cycles of history, the rising and the falling, they're all fixed. What has happened before is going to happen again.
And then comes the thunderous climax. Leave is the Irish way of pronouncing leave. The voice is commanding humanity to leave the bloody stone of history alone. Stop digging it up. Stop fighting over the past. Just leave it be. It's this incredibly powerful, almost violent command to stop obsessing over everything that's come before.
So what is really going on here? What's Joyce up to? Well, he's directly referencing something called the Viconian cycle, from a philosopher named Giambattista Vico. Vico believed that history wasn't a straight line. It was an endless loop of creation, decay, and then a violent rebirth. And that rebirth was always kicked off by a thunderclap from the heavens. So this divine command isn't just an ending. It's the thunder that starts the entire cycle all over again. But just as quickly as this epic, cosmic moment arrives, it dissolves. The divine voice fades out, a group of young girls scatters in fear, and then we just hear the normal, everyday call of a Dublin tram conductor, "Any Lukens, please?" This huge, mythical event just melts right back into the noise of the city.
And that's pretty much where we're left. We've journeyed from a grave all the way back to the surface. We've witnessed a battle that contained all of history, sifted through evidence in a garbage dump, and then we heard the thunderclap of a new beginning. So the final question this whole passage leaves us wrestling with is this. If history is just a pile of rubbish, and if every single end is also a brand new beginning, then what new story, what new myth is just starting to be born from all these discarded pieces?